And we're live. Welcome, folks.
Is that a question?
I think so. I'm not sure. So, episode 6, we keep doing this, and I don't know. People keep listening. It's a lot of fun. Constantly getting feedback from you all. Thank you. First piece of feedback. It appears that I've not introduced my delightful and beautiful wife/co-host. But I guess I assumed everybody knows us, so they heard your voice and knew. But Sarah, welcome back to the podcast.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
So and we have another friend with us, Lean Mean Dean. We're going to talk today about a subject that has been a passion of mine for most of my life, and that is fitness.
And not fitness pizza in your mouth.
Exactly. And actually today we're going to use you, Sarah, as the subject matter. I figured the best way to do our initial conversation around fitness and physical wellness was to highlight a success story. And this year for you, darling, has been quite the success story.
It's been a fun ride.
Second that.
Yeah.
I remember in the truck,
Mm-hmm.
we're both athletes, kind of have been, pseudo athletes. When we met, we were both in pretty great shape. We're having a good time, but we also like to party. So, we got real comfortable as a couple and did a lot of drinking and a lot of eating, and kind of looked down one day. We're like, oh, we're kind of falling apart at the seams.
My stuffing was hanging
Yeah.
out.
So, we went through some ups and downs and some minor successes, but something changed along the way.
Mm-hmm.
This time around, we had a conversation in the truck, I remember, and I was kind of pushing you to try this program. We attend a gym in Bellevue, Washington called the Pro Club. If you've not checked them out, we're not sponsored, we're not affiliated or any of that. Dean does, in fact, work for the Pro Club.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking awesome. I'm not supposed to say that word. That's more feedback I've gotten. Is I need to tone down my language. I apologize, but seriously, the Pro Club, there's nothing better in Washington State.
Nope.
The Bellevue Athletic Club, Washington Athletic Club, they think they're bougie. They think they're great. The people there are wonderful. It's gigantic. You can get lost in there. It's just amazing. I can't say enough good stuff. And as part of that, you joined a program there called the 2020 program.
I did.
And Dean, you started out and have worked with her through the whole program as her trainer.
Yeah.
And I'd love to, I think the best way to kind of kick this conversation off is just kind of show or talk about some of the numbers. I think you and I have agreed we're going to show your before and after pictures along with the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I've been involved, researching health and fitness stuff my entire life. And this is a story that if I had seen in a magazine article, I would have called bullshit. I would have asked about, were there performance enhancing drugs involved? Was this one of those bogus stories where the before picture was actually taken where, you paid a professional athlete to just get fat so you could show a before and after? I mean, it's that shocking of a result set. So you started, all of this has been done this year. So in the last...
I started at the beginning of February. Yeah.
February.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your peak, when you rolled in, you were 209 pounds.
Yeah, but that wasn't even the heaviest. I actually, I think I got up to 224 at one point.
224. And now, so you finished the program at 164. And what are you at today?
159.
So 224
Mm-hmm.
to 159 in like a half a year, basically.
Yeah, ish.
And you cut your body fat in half.
Half, yeah.
You went from over 40% to like...
I think it was 46 to, now I'm at 23% and 23.9-ish. But if you believe the ARIA 2 scale, which, by the way, love it. Highly recommend.
So how does this work? Like I said, I got caught up as a young man in all the, men's fitness and all this stuff. And these just nonsense, the influencers these days, if you want 6-pack abs, just do these 12 exercises a day. It's like, there's only one way you get a 6-pack, and that's by decreasing your body fat across. You can't target your stomach. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you have a 6-pack, you just can't see it.
Everybody's got a 6-pack. Some are just warmer than the others.
Exactly.
I had a pony keg for a while.
So I guess let's jump into you a little bit, Dean. How did you end up in the health and fitness industry? I mean, you've been with Pro for 20 years?
20, 24 years.
20.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
actually in my 24th year. Yeah.
That's crazy. So I was going to say, both Sarah and I have been members of the Pro Club, I think just over 20 years. You were there before us. And
Yeah.
I've seen you around for years at the club, but didn't really ever meet you, obviously, until
Yeah.
Sarah was part of
Yeah.
this program.
I said the same thing to Sarah when I realized she and I had been paired together through our program. I've seen you at the Pro Club. Like a lot of
Forever.
people I've seen, there and just have never officially met. So it was just kind of neat to realize, oh, I recognize Sarah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been there for, like I said, in my 24th year. And I got into fitness. I mean, as a kid, I feel like I was one of the last generation where it was kind of pre-video game consoles, and I mean, we played outside a lot. We were on our bicycles. We were out playing pickup basketball, like backyard football. Just spent a lot of time outside.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what how I grew up. Just a lot of time outside, and I really didn't know what to study in college. And I ended up in a major in health promotion, which was initially geared more towards like corporate and wellness, like program design type thing.
Okay.
I had a lot of the same coursework as someone in exercise, physiology, exercise science, or kinesiology, pretty much the same coursework. Moved out here to the Seattle area thinking, hey, I'll see what the gig is like for corporate wellness, and found it's not easy to break into that. In a lot of areas where I expected to find it, it wasn't there. So maybe that's another opportunity. But
Hmm.
I worked at a bicycle shop in college, and I took a bike shop job when I got out here. And I was speaking with a customer one day, and she's like, "What'd you go to school for?" And I was telling her about it. She said, "Oh, you need to check out Pro Club in Bellevue." I'm like, oh. So I did. And like you said at the beginning, I was just like kind of gobsmacked, like,
Whoa.
wow, this place is so incredible. And it was literally half the size
That it
then
is
that it
now.
is now.
Yeah.
It was half the size. But I got hired on there, and started training. And to be honest, hadn't really occurred to me. I did a little bit of training right after I graduated from Oklahoma State there in Stillwater, Oklahoma, at basically the campus like wellness center. And I had a chance to work with some like cardiovascular and pulmonary rehab people that were in the program there. And I think that was my first experience with working with someone who's like very deconditioned and getting to be part of a transformation.
Yeah.
And so then when I got to experience the 2020 program and what that offers, like, yeah, this is some wellness I'd like to be part of.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my backstory, I guess, at arriving at Pro Club. But the the 2020 program has really been and continues to be just a big part of why I'm still there.
Yeah.
It's just it never gets old to
Mhm.
be on a journey with someone who's wherever they're at with their health and fitness.
But I mean, I've watched so many people go through the 2020 program, and it's like, I never see a failure. It's like you watch somebody go in, and I'm sorry, like fat to fit. That's really what it is. You watch somebody go in just kind of unhappy with their life, somewhere between morbidly obese and out of shape and unhappy to just being, absolutely the best physical version of themselves. Like looking at my wife now, I'm like,
Yeah.
don't mean to be weird, you're hot. It's ridiculous. And it's wonderful, like the energetic change in her.
Yeah.
All of a sudden she feels sexy and confident and youthful. And it's like,
And strong and
oh,
capable.
yes. It's so wonderful to experience. And it's, I totally see, and it resonates with me why that would be so interesting to you. It's like, you're changing people's lives.
I would imagine it's almost like a drug.
Yeah.
Well, and then
You get
and then
addicted to it.
and all of those things you realize are just a small part of a number of things that fitness brings to you, into your health and your body, your mindset.
Yep.
There's so many things.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I thought about because the whole concept around this podcast is being the best version of yourself possible. Whether it's spiritual, whatever. But if the core of your foundation, your meat vehicle, is in disrepair, it's hard to be your best, intellectual self or be happy or be positive. Like when your body is literally in a state of disease. Carrying all this extra weight, you're not sleeping.
Dis-ease.
Yeah.
Boom, disease. It affects everything. And you don't even, I guess it was fascinating for me. We've both obviously cycled up and down through our weight. Um, you don't, it comes on so slowly that you don't realize, I'll talk to a lot of my friends that I'm kind of like trying to like help and push, like, hey, you should start focusing on. They're like, well, I feel great. Like, it's sad to me that you haven't even had the experience recently enough to realize that you don't feel great. You're
Yeah.
just accustomed to feeling the way you feel right now.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you actually could feel really, really good.
Yeah. It's a vicious cycle, right? I mean, the more or the less rather that you move, all those
The
things just
easier
kind
it
of
is not to move.
exactly things
Hmm.
slowly kind of degrade, and then now it kind of hurts to work out. The whole idea of it, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, it's
it's
uncomfortable.
It's a lot of work. As Sarah likes to say, my skin is crying, Gene.
every
Ow,
time.
ow, my ab. He's heard it all.
It's I guess so, I think everybody listening is probably, if you've ever tried to get in shape, you've had an experience of, you get really motivated. And, sometimes it's as silly as like you buy a new pair of running shoes. Like, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to start running. Like, you go buy a new pair of shoes. Like, I've got some skin in the game now. I've got some money in there. Like, you're really excited. And you go out and you jog the first time, and maybe it's great. Maybe it's terrible. And you do it a couple of times. So often I see, though, that, folks get discouraged, 3 sessions in, 6 sessions in, sooner or later, they just give up. They see like one lapse back into their old eating is like, I can't do this, I'm useless and I'm just going to give up. Um, that's what I'm most interested in trying to break down today is something changed with you
Hmm.
as part of this program where your accountability suddenly was just unquestionably there. And you're just like every day, like that alarm goes off, you're getting up, you're going to the gym. And was it a function of, you have money involved? And by the way, the 2020 program, I know we're not allowed to discuss a lot of the specific details as it's secret sauce for the pro club,
Hmm.
but everybody goes through, and like I said, I've never seen a failure case. So they've got something figured out,
Hmm.
whether it's there's an army, a team behind you, you've got a personal trainer, you've got a dietitian, you've got a psychologist, you've got a doctor. They're doing all kinds of, professional athlete level testing on you, and then, testing against your metrics as you progress through the program. What was it that? Was it like what this time around made it stick?
Oh, I mean, there are so many factors that come into play that all kind of came together in a perfect orchestra of beautifulness, right? I think there, like, COVID played a big part in it because I had spent the last couple years really facing off with how I was living and the way that my body was at the moment, how dangerous it was. And looking at it going, oh, I already have a heart condition. So I have a pre-existing condition. And so what I'm doing with my body and how I live is literally putting me at risk of death. And it had never occurred to me in such stark reality before. And your mind knows these things, and you go, yeah, if I spend enough time doing this way, it's going to damage me. But you don't have to face off with it like we had to, looking at COVID and going, oh, I have a comorbidity now, which is great because I can get my vaccine sooner, or I can do these get special concessions. But then you look at it and you go, but I'm more likely to die. And it's a choice. It's something that I have ultimate control over. Why on earth wouldn't I? And I kept trying and trying and trying all of these different things. And I tried intermittent fasting, and I tried, this, and I tried that. And I would go to the gym, and, I'd get hurt, or I'd lose focus, or I'd get busy at work or something. And I'd get off track. And then I'd feel bad about myself, and usually I'd get worse off. And so, I'm sitting here looking at myself going, why can't I get this? Why can't I understand it? And knowing that I have all of the information inside of me, like
Yeah.
I know all of the pieces, but I struggled with recognizing that I needed help. I needed some exterior thing because I couldn't do it myself. And I hated the fact that I had to admit that I'd failed and I needed something. And so when we were sitting in the truck, I had spent 2 years thinking about these things and banging my head up against this wall and knowing that you felt the way you felt, and that it was concerning. It was concerning for our relationship and like our interaction energetically, but then it's also concerning from the standpoint of like I might lose my person earlier than
Yeah.
would have to happen because of some stupid decision that you
A silly
couldn't stick
choice.
to. And so, like, how insulting is that? That there are some people who would love to be able to hold on to their person forever if they could and don't have that option. And here I am squandering it.
Yeah.
And so, when you asked me that time, I was like, you said, would you consider doing the 2020 program at the Pro Club? And I said, yeah, I would. And I
I
just,
remember thinking you were joking. I was like, yeah,
I
yeah.
just like, I remember thinking like, this is mine. Like I get to own this. This is my decision. This is something that's important to me. And, cost be damned, time commitment be damned. Because all of those times that we had talked about it before, I was like, oh, it's too expensive. It's too time consuming. It's too intense. It's too this. It's too that. And I thought about it and I was like, it's not too any of that stuff. Just nut up and do it. You've done all of these other awesome things in your life. Just do it. And so it was this moment, this like aha moment. It hit me like a bolt of lightning where I was like, yeah, I can do that. I will do that. Like, that's what I'm doing. We have the money. We have the opportunity. I have the time. There's no good reason not to.
Well, I remember us having a conversation as well, just maybe it was last night recently about, the debt collector, the bill coming due.
Yeah.
Like you said, my driving reason behind pushing you on this was health. Like,
Mhm.
I'm concerned you're going to die early.
Yeah.
So often I hear people say, like, I can't afford the time. I can't afford the money. It's like,
Yeah.
you can and you will. Because here's the deal. You can pay it on the front end or you can pay it on the back end.
Yep.
Like, when you're laying in a hospital bed,
Yeah.
realizing that you're sick and dysfunctional because you continued to, like,
Mhm.
prioritize hanging out with your buddies and drinking beers and eating pizza every night,
Yep.
maybe whatever it is, but that slow
Mhm.
melting into goo.
Yeah. But it was also like the work that you and I have done together has made a huge difference. And the fact that you created the space for me to be whoever I was going to be. And I knew unequivocally from the way that we interacted that you would support me. Like, and we talked about this last night, the fact that you were ready to like give up on your dream of having a physical body that made you proud in order to stick with me if that was the decision I meant to go down. Like you were going to walk hand in hand with me, irrespective of how that made you feel about your goals. And the fact that I felt that from you, I felt that unwavering support meant that I had the space to be whoever I wanted to be, and you would be there to love me. And I did not, I had not felt that before. So that's
Thank
a
you.
big piece of it. And thank you.
It's awesome.
So
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, you guys are clearly, I've always known since I've known you, Sarah, that you two are each other's biggest fans.
yep.
Yeah.
And to even be able to have that conversation and like for you to bring it up, Chris, is like you've got to, and I know that wasn't easy to
It
do.
was, boy, how
I
do you, don't
For-
talk about your wife's weight
for-
ever.
for anyone you love, right? Like it's not an easy conversation to have.
No.
But to start that conversation and then for you, Sarah, to be receptive and make a decision and make a move, like that's ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it wasn't even that I was receptive. It was that I was all in. I was laying in bed this morning just thinking about how God, how amazing my life is and how grateful I am for all of the people and the experiences and opportunities and everything. And I was sitting there thinking about like how to express how it felt to attack this problem. And I I thought about it like an energetic loan officer. Like you're trying to, in order for you to manifest something like this, you can't just think about it over and over again. You can't just like have it in your field of focus. You have to energetically make your entire being yearn for it in a way that like reaches for it and pulls it toward you. And I was thinking about it like if you were going to the Universal Bank and you said, I want this for my life. And they would say, okay, what's your collateral? What's your earning potential? How are you going to prove to us that you're worthy of us giving this to you so that you can make the payments on it and continue to have this in your life long term? Why would we give it to you if you're just going to piss it away? And so, like, that energetic yearning for something is the way to manifest bringing it into your life because you have to align your energy toward wanting that thing so badly that it's almost a foregone conclusion that you're going to get it. And so, there was also the piece of Eric, who, from episode 1, our energy worker, Eric, the whole time that we were talking about this program and my participation in it, he was like, when your body comes into alignment with what you think of yourself, when you get fit, when you bring it all together, and it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And he believed in me so much that he was speaking about it like there was no question.
It already happened.
And my respect, my level of respect for him and his ability to read what's happening in the world and the universe led me to believe that if he can see it, then I can see it and I can make it happen. And it's just a matter of going through the steps. And then, you and I, every day in the gym that we're together, like I'll say 98, 99% of the time, I leave it all on the floor. There have been a couple of days where I was like, Dean, I'm tired. You were like, all right, we can phone it in today, but you're still going to work.
This was the funny thing. Like when those days would happen, I'm totally ready to meet her there. But I'd bring over like, okay, what do we do? We'll do this weight instead of that weight. No, we're going to do that weight. No, I'm all in. I'm all in. Forget what I said earlier.
Yeah, kind of.
I just needed a moment to complain about it. Now I'm here.
Yeah, I think it was more like 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
Well, so Dean, from your perspective, obviously you've been in the industry for a long time. You've seen a lot of success. You have a pretty clear picture of like what it looks like to go from, wherever you might be to wherever you want to be. What's the difference? What's the secret sauce in terms of like I said, I've had so many friends reach out to me like, hey, I want to get in shape and I'm trying to help them. Like, I was reading this article and it says this, and so much of the stuff out there is just bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I see like the movie stars, for instance, it seems like what they always preach is like, you eat like single source food or food as close as possible to its original source, as little as like basically don't eat processed shit and work out really hard. And like that combined seems to just have magic results.
Yeah, no, I mean, essentially, yeah, you might need to create a deficit early on in order to help facilitate, leaning and all of that. But essentially, yeah, whole foods, the right amount, those macronutrients, and work out, and it doesn't have to be the same kind of workout for everybody. It's not going to be the same level of nutrition for everybody. Everyone's a little bit different, but in a nutshell, yeah, it's, optimize all the things that are within your control,
Yeah.
recovery, sleep.
It's deceptively simple and yet so hard.
And it seems, it just is made to be so complex.
You just have to back up a little bit. But yeah, you're right, Chris, that there's so much mis and disinformation out there, all in the name of making money.
Yep.
It's just countless fad diets and gadgets and all kinds of things. But
that's another one that is fascinating to me, that I guess I've just recently realized as well, so often people that balk at the idea of trying to get in shape are like, yeah, it's great to have a six pack and look awesome. But on the same note, you don't get to live like, you have to eat chicken and broccoli and you can never be at a restaurant. It's
I
like,
call horse crap.
exactly. I have twice in my life, I've been pretty husky most of my life because I like to drink and eat. Um, Twice in my life, I've had the experience that I'm having right now of being pretty lean and fit. And what I've discovered is in those times, yes, I had to put myself in a caloric deficit for an extended period of time and work out to get to where I wanted to be. But once I was there, right now, like today, I'll eat pizza. I'm sitting here talking to you right now, drinking a beer in the middle of the day. You can, as long as it's those years of eating pizzas and drinking
Right.
beers and eating at restaurants and eating crap out of packages,
Mhm.
it slowly creeps up on you. But once you've gotten to where you want to be, to maintain that, it's like 3 or 4 times a week, I can throw it all to the wind and do whatever I want, as long as I just, pay reasonable attention the rest of the time.
Right. Yeah. When your default is
Hmm.
that routine, and
Yeah.
I think it's important to allow yourself like some indulgence.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
Hmm.
it's going to be a sinking ship,
You,
right?
you go off the
yeah.
rails.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think people just get caught up in the fact that it's like, well, you can't look like that without suffering 24/7. And it's just not the case.
Not true at all. In fact, I like when I saw originally when I saw what I was expected to eat that first little bit, I was like, huh, that's going to be interesting. But in practice, not really that bad.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was very manageable. And at this point, and we're doing it. I love Corinne. She's awesome. Like we're constantly adjusting and constantly what feels good, what doesn't. But she always was telling me have a little bit of the stuff that you want. Like I don't want. This isn't about saying no to stuff. This is about figuring out what works. So,
Corinne was your nutritionist or dietitian?
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Where are you at? Why aren't you here?
Because we didn't ask her. We wanted to give Dean his
Yeah.
props.
We got to get everybody in here
Well,
to check this out.
Yeah. Without giving any details, it's a little bit shocking at first, I think, for most people with what they're advised to eat
Mhm.
Yep.
in the 2020 program initially. And it's designed to be kind of a, hey, we're going to start with a clean slate.
Mhm.
We're going to build from here.
Little
Yeah.
reset button.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's like
coming off of a lot of the foods that whoever's been eating,
Mhm.
and you start back from there, and like this is what we're looking at moving forward. Not those first few weeks, but beyond that, and then by the time you're done with the program, it's essentially the lifestyle change that
Yep.
hopefully you carry forward with.
Yeah, I guess that's the deal. It's like diets are bullshit. You can't if you want to diet down to, I want to diet down to 200 pounds, like, oh, I look awesome. And I just return back to my old habits. It's like, it's going to take 6 months, a year, 2, like however long it takes, I'm going to go right back to where I was.
Yeah.
Because I haven't changed my lifestyle. I haven't changed my habits.
Yeah.
People are always on this diet thing. It's like, hey, why don't you just make a lifestyle choice to not eat like an asshole most of the time? There's an idea.
Yeah.
Well, and even Emma, in the middle of this program, she'd be like, "Oh, Mom, are you still on a diet?" I'm like, "I'm not really on a diet. Like,
So
this
many
isn't
people,
a diet."
yeah, like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't want to drink in front of you because, go ahead, I don't care, and if I want one, I'll have one. It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you've obviously been through this a number of times, not necessarily podcasts about it, but you've seen tons of people go through this program and varying levels of success. What do you think makes the difference? What do you think made the difference for me? From your professional opinion.
If we're just looking at Sarah,
Mhm.
you came in with intention, as I would expect, most athletes to do. You came in with a certain amount of fitness,
Mhm.
and as a trainer, my first rule starting off with someone is like, I'm going to give them a workout I'm certain they can do.
Mhm.
The last thing I want to do is drop bombs on people and have them feel
Discourage you right out of the
hey,
gate.
don't belong here,
Mhm.
It's one of the most frustrating things for me to hear. And it's not frustrating for me. It's just, I feel more frustrated for them when I hear someone say, I need to get in shape before I work with a trainer or before I come
Right.
to the gym.
Like, what?
And No, you can start anywhere, but you happen to come in with a certain amount of fitness,
Thanks,
which is
coach.
which is great. I have a feeling you do that in most things in your life. You don't come in unprepared for things.
What?
Um, but that stood out. It was clear to me early on that, okay, we're going to need to accelerate Sarah's programming a little bit. So I got permission from the people upstairs to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to need to take Sarah down to the free weight room because,
We're gonna push.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's ready to go. So, um,
Strap a yoke on her. That ox
yeah,
is ready to roll.
you, I don't think you late canceled once.
Nope.
I don't think you showed up late once.
Nope.
I think you showed up early and had a little bit of a sweat going and a warm up done
Yep.
every time.
Yep.
That's a standout.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the intention I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you missed anything. Like,
You remember Hawaii? Went on vacation. I was like, Dean, I need a workout. Send me a workout.
that's right. That's right.
And
Yeah.
here we are standing
Yeah.
on the seawall.
I
Like,
would like to say
I have pictures.
how fucking horrible that was, but I keep using that word. I'm sorry, it's punctuation to me. It's just habit.
Yeah.
Um,
That was
that was my first experience. You know, she was doing the program. I've been working out with my buddy Andy at his house the whole time. Like, yeah, they're doing their thing, whatever. So go to Hawaii, and she's like, I'm gonna do my workouts through Hawaii. Like, will you do them with me? I was like, yeah, let's do that. I come out for this first exercise, like, there's a couple of bands, there's this and that. We're gonna do this for 30 minutes. I'm like, this is gonna be a joke. I'm used to just lifting really heavy weight, big break periods. So all of a sudden I'm doing this more hit style workout. That kicked my ass so bad. I was so sore, just
Right.
dying. And when we came home from that, that's when I was like,
oh,
do you think
cackling like an
do,
idiot.
do you think Tina would let me come in and do one of these workouts? I'd like to see what you guys are up to.
Yeah, man.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, if we're looking at, that's where it's almost like opposites, right? When you're looking at nutrition and we see all these, fad diets and all these kind of hokey offerings, when it really comes down to just like, hey, just eat clean, eat the right amount for you, get lean, stay lean. But then on exercise and workouts, there really is no one right way to do it.
Yeah.
There are people who are into lifting heavy. There are
Mhm.
people into, more like hit style workouts, high intensity. There are people that do just strength. There are people that do just cardio. That's another barrier I think that's out there for people thinking like that it needs to be
It's got to be this.
it needs to be
Prescriptive.
one
Mhm.
thing or another. It needs to, I'm not doing any good if I'm not really hurting, really suffering.
Mhm.
Some people like that style of workout. They really want to feel like they got their butt kicked. Other people
CrossFitters.
other people not so much, and that's where I think having some guidance, maybe with a trainer, maybe with someone who's just experienced working out, a friend or whoever, can educate you on, what's appropriate.
Mhm.
And like I've mentioned before, the recovery being such an important part, like for people to really look at recovery as part of your exercise, routine and your programming, because your workouts, you'll only yield the positive results comparatively to how good your recovery is.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's sleep, that's eating clean, hydration, all those sorts of things.
Yep.
But back to you, Sarah.
Mhm.
Um,
Enough about me. Let's talk about me.
Yeah, you really just you were fully committed to everything. I'm not sure I ever heard you really complain much about anything. You were just kind of just in it,
Mhm.
and so yeah, I think with that intention and just focus and determination, you made my job easy. You were always you always are. Both of you, fun to work with. You just bring good energy, and that when you can just show up with that, it's going to be a good day. You
Yep.
know, and anyone's going to have a day where like, oh, I just really don't feel like going.
I do not
All
want to
right, I
be
wish
here.
I'm not
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
Once you kind of get it going, I've yet to hear anyone say at the end of the workout like,
I wish I hadn't have
"It's
done
a
that.
bad idea," Yeah.
Well, that
Um,
sucked.
Thought I should have stayed in bed, and I was right.
Yeah.
Uh,
But But yeah, I mean, you've just you were fully committed,
Mhm.
and clearly you got there.
Yeah.
And you're staying there.
Yeah. Well, and you have found a way to make it fun in, those moments where you're like, all right, what do you want to do? You can pick your poison, like,
Would you
fine.
like suck door number one
Or
or suck door number two?
or bonus, suck door number 3. By the way, we're gonna do all 3.
Yeah.
You just get to pick which one you do first.
That's the other thing that I love about sessions with you both. You
Mhm.
guys, humor is a big part of of it all, right? It lightens the mood. It keeps the energy up. Sarah will be just like that emanates from her. Like in a workout, she'll be, giving people who are working with some other trainer like a playful, encouraging
Guff.
hard time,
Mhm.
and like people know who she is there, and anyway, yeah, it's a good energy.
Mhm.
It's fun. We've been going out. We're doing the Tough Mudder next weekend, so we've been kind of like doing a couple of runs, preparing for that, and we'll be out running in the neighborhood here, and she'll be walking by and like cheering people on or trying to. Ran by some guy last week,
Right.
and she goes to give him a high five, and he like literally like kind of like dodges out of the way, like what the hell is this crazy woman doing?
Like, good job. And he was like,
Mhm.
don't you know there's a pandemic, you weirdo?
Yeah. Trying to think of some other. I guess I'm just trying to demystify like how do we help people get started on this? Like watching you go through this transformation has just been so much fun, so spectacular. And what I realized, I've watched so many of our friend group, not only through the pandemic. The pandemic has obviously been rough. It's funny. It's been binary. People have either gotten in better shape, a very small percentage of folks, or most folks have put on somewhere between a little and a lot of weight. And
The pandemic pudge.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to break how this happened, how to break this down, because I want this level of success and ease and fluidity for everybody. And I'm just trying to find those magic levers to be like, because that's the thing. So many people get discouraged so rapidly right out of the door. It's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you can do this. Like, it's actually shockingly easier than you might think. And it starts. It's fun. I've got a buddy James who I've watched, go up and down in weight over the years, and he's very simple about that kind of stuff. He gets to a certain weight and he's like, I don't like this. Cuts his food down by a third and just goes out walking every night.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally his program. He just goes walking around his neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you'll watch him, like, you'll see him 2 months later and he's 30 pounds lighter. You're like, how the hell did you do? He's like, I ate one less sandwich a day and walked 3 miles a day. It's like,
Yeah.
well, like, what else? Like, that's it. That's all there was to it.
Well, and paying attention to how many the calculations from my fitness tracker. No endorsement here. Paying attention to how many calories I get from a weight workout that we do, or surfing, or going out on a walk, or going out on a run.
Or a Zumba class this morning.
Or
By
a
the
Z-
way, gentlemen, if you ever want to feel like an uncoordinated fool, check out Zumba.
Oh, it's amazing! I had such a good time.
I'm such an idiot.
But like going out for an hour walk, and doing a few intentional hills, it burns more calories than a weight workout that we do. And so if you're doing that and keeping your heart rate like a little bit elevated, not a lot, and hopefully the fat burning zone, like do it every day and it'll make a difference.
A big difference over time, too.
Yeah. It's, it's the one day versus day one.
Yeah. Well,
So.
it's the same thing as the food thing,
Mm-hmm. Just
If
a little bit
if
here
you're
and there.
eating 100 or 200 extra calories per day, over 6 months, a year, 5 years, like that adds up to some weight if you're doing nothing.
Mhm.
On the same note, if you're minus 100 calories and doing a
Yeah.
little bit of low
That's
grade
a
working
that's a
out.
White Claw.
Yeah.
Just don't have a White Claw.
Yeah. And then over 6 months or a year, it's like, oh, I look different in the mirror
Mhm.
noticeably.
That's pretty simple, right? I mean, commit to a month.
Mhm.
Little goals.
Track what you're eating. You don't
Yeah.
need to track every day, but have an idea of what your average day looks like.
Yeah.
Find a place to cut out some calories.
Yep.
If you're not moving,
Mhm.
start moving. It can be going for the walk, It doesn't have to be anything more than that.
Nope.
you can lose weight without exercise,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just changing nutrition.
Well,
Yep.
and especially I've noticed as you get older. It used to be in my 20s, I could go to the bar every night. I could eat McDonald's 2 meals a day. It's like, look, I'm going to be in the gym for 2 hours a day, and I could maintain and or lose weight and build muscle as a 20 something.
Sure.
Mhm.
I'm 40 something now. Doesn't work like that anymore.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
It used to be that diet was it was 90% workout, 10% diet.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's exactly the opposite in my 40s.
Mhm.
I can get in better shape sitting on my butt watching TV just by monitoring my food.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Well, and I will say, one thing that has made a huge difference that I have done before but have never done with as much integrity is meal tracking. And
Man.
there were so many times, and I think this was kind of some of the stuff that was going on. Like before this program, I started meal tracking, just like keeping track of what I was eating and trying to be aware and just kind of like trying to spitball a general idea of where I thought I needed to be, which ironically, the way that I calculated it is less than what I was told to do on the program. So, haha, I could actually eat more. But this idea that I was not accountable to myself for the honesty that it took to show up and write down everything that I ate and everything that I drank and try to like be as accurate as possible no matter where we were. And so there were a lot of times before I got on this program where, like I'd have a bad night and I wouldn't write it down. I would just kind of write it off and go, you know what, I'll be better tomorrow. But then you remember we went out to, I can't remember, we were at that pub house down in Seattle. And here I
Oh,
am.
yes.
I'm like, literally, we had a baked pretzel and some charcuterie and a bunch of stuff. And it was like family style kind of appetizers. And we had all this stuff, a beet salad, everything. And here
And
I
we
am.
went to Burt Kreitzer and had like
Oh.
4 cocktails a
Oh
pop.
God, right? And I saw that. So I'm like being intentional about everything that I ate, and I'm, ignoring people at the table so that I can try and figure out the closest thing, and trying to track it. And then my God, those drinks, I swear to God, there were like 4 shots per
they were,
drink. And whoa. But here I am. I'm like, nope, I'm writing this down and I'm being honest. Like these were heavy, heavy drinks. And here I am on the 2020 program. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm such an a-hole. But here I am, like, this is the life I'm living. And so let's write it down. And I looked at it the next day and it blew my mind. But, it's a data point.
Right.
And so being honest and integrous about, like, this is what I'm doing. And if I want to know how it affects me and I want to see what it does for my weight,
Gotta track that
I got to
data.
track it. And man, it was eye-opening.
It sucks. It's not flattering.
No.
You're like, because you think you're being pretty good. And man, alcohol and drinks are just one of those spots that, we won't delve, I don't think, today into like the deleterious effects of alcohol beyond just the caloric load and sugar of it. But it's so deceptive. Like you go out, you're having some food, you have a couple of drinks, maybe you have a couple more drinks, spikes your insulin. So I'm still hungry. So I eat some more. That builds a habit. You keep doing it over time. It's like all of a sudden you're like,
You wake up the next
I
day, you
need-
feel like garbage.
yeah, I need 2,200 calories a day to like maintain my body. And I didn't even realize like I'm taking in 4+ on the regular. And probably half of that is booze. And you're like, wow, like, okay, 6 months, a year, 2 years later, like I see why I'm 30 pounds heavier. All of a sudden it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you bring it up because meal tracking, I know like everybody in all my experiences over life has beaten into me like how powerful a tool it is. I don't know what it is about me. Hate meal tracking, just about refuse to do it. In fact, I also, while Sarah was going through the program, worked with a dietitian over at Pro as well. Sierra, I believe is her name.
Yep.
And I was just super honest with her. I was like, look, I have these goals. I want to be, like bodybuilder-ish lean and like building muscle while losing fat, which is really hard to do. And she was like, we got to track your meals. I can't do it. Neat little trick came out of that. And I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Dean, but I've had incredible success with it myself. She was like, look, I want you to focus on one macro and one macro only. She's like, you're going to focus on protein because you want to build muscle. She was like, we're gonna target your body weight in grams of protein a day, so 200 to 240, depending on the time of year I was at, of grams of protein a day. And she was like, every time you put something in your mouth, you're taking in protein, working towards that 2 to 240 goal. And I found by simple virtue of just trying to get 200 plus grams of protein in a day, by the time I was done eating, like hitting my protein macros, I wasn't particularly hungry.
Right.
So all of a sudden I've like supercharged my protein intake. And by virtue of that, I've also decreased my carbohydrate load. All of a sudden it's like I'm going in for DEXA scans and I'm like, your body fat's going down. Your body fat's going down. Like, what are these weird lumps on my mids? Like, oh, wow, this is.
Yeah.
So it was just a neat little hack that I discovered. Like, I'm guessing a lot of people are really averse to meal tracking because, quite frankly, as you're getting started, it's just a pain in the butt.
Yep.
Um,
In my experience, it's one of the first things after someone's kind of completed the 2020 program that falls away. Yeah, yeah. Most people don't dig it too much,
Yeah.
but it, as you know, Sarah pointed out, it's an incredibly useful tool. Um, if someone finds, hey, I'm at a spot, whether that was your trick with the protein intake, or for some people it's portion size, kind of like fixed portion control, and a bit more routine. You can get by without tracking. But if you want to be serious about, starting some weight loss, or especially if you have a significant amount of weight loss to lose, you really can't. You can't completely bypass
Can't take a
tracking.
shortcut.
You really have to know what you're taking in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nice thing about working with Corinne, and again, love her to death, we started working as I was exiting the program on like paying more attention to my body's cues. And so a portion of the time that we worked together toward the end was kind of weaning me off of the meal tracking in favor of really trying to pay attention to my satiety and like eating until I felt like I was relatively satiated and full, but like not overstuffing myself for the most part. There were definitely times that, that accidentally happened where at the end of it, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But, trying to make it so that I wake up hungry. So like those are the mental cues that I sit there and I go, okay. And as long as I'm doing that, and then I'm also checking my weight and I'm where I want to be, like I feel like that is working. But I also know that if I ever start to have a backslide, that's the first thing that's going back in the toolbox, like right there.
Right. Yeah. No, that's that's good advice, and maybe a whole nother podcast about just mindfulness with all of this, with exercise, with nutrition.
Yeah.
But listening to your body. Why are you eating? Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Are you bored?
Oh, I ask
Are
him
you
that all the
stressed?
time. He hates it.
are you eating because you're hungry? Like, I don't like your question.
Next question, please.
Plead the fifth.
But yeah, just sometimes slowing down the pace at which we're eating, going to social things, making sure that you're not hungry,
Yep.
Don't go to the grocery store hungry.
I
I do that all the
consider
time.
That's brilliant. Go to social events already fed.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much junk out on the table. And it's
Right?
like, I'm BSing with people. I'm snacking.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We're about to enter the holiday season, right? It's like perfect time to put that into practice.
Yeah. Or bring stuff that like works for you, like
Yeah.
meat and
Yeah.
cheese and vegetables.
Introduce others to some
Right?
sensible, like better snacks.
That
you
was
know?
a fascinating experience. When Sarah started the program, we had a serious conversation. She sat down and she was like, look,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
as part of this, I'm committing to this and I need you to be on the team with me. She was like, I need you to stop the drinking constantly. I need you to stop the constant runs to fast food and ice cream every night. She's like, I need you to be on board, which I agreed to. In fact, I took 3 months of no drinking initially with you,
Yep.
which I think was great for both of us, a huge success factor. And where was I headed with all of this? I completely lost my train of thought.
We were talking about the holidays and going.
The social aspect of this. So when we we've always been very social people. We're at parties, we're at drinking events, all these types of things. When you start showing up at these events and you're not willing to drink, to see that, some people like literally harass you and harangue you about it.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it it was just fascinating to see some people were very on board with you and wanted to support you in your habits. Some people seemed almost just
It
set
made
on
them
trying to.
very uncomfortable.
Hmm.
I wonder
Yeah.
what that's. I mean, is it about they don't like having accountability? Like it changed our social circle
Yeah.
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Well, and there were more than an a non-zero number of people that I had to say at a certain point, is there a reason you're not interested in supporting my goals? Because people would be pushy
Yeah,
and like,
just have a shot.
have a shot, have a shot. And I'd be like, I'm not interested in doing that. Like, you
Knock yourself out.
you're not gonna not do it. Like, why do I need to do it with you? I don't understand. But it
Mm.
was, yeah, it was wild. And just to stand there, and that was another piece of that like me owning it energetically and going, I don't want to do that. And I'm not gonna be bullied into it, and I'm not gonna be cajoled into it. It doesn't work. Like, this takes effort, and
Mm.
I'm not gonna undo it for your comfort.
Yeah, no, that can be an uncomfortable position to be in. And I
Yeah.
think that's a perfectly good response of just like turn it back. Like, why do you need me to do one with you?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's all, and not just alcohol, right? It's
Yeah.
food. It's just like it's part of our culture. It's social.
Yeah.
And I mean, I grew up with a grandmother who was dishing food onto my plate as she's asking me, "Do you want more?"
Oh.
You know?
And my
And
grandmother said, "You look like you're putting on weight. Do you want another piece of pie?" I'm like,
well, and when that was like,
yes, I do.
Yes.
when that was like, I'm this. That's how I think it's to a degree a generational thing of
Mhm.
like, this is how I love you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
feed the hell out of you.
I'm gonna stuff you like
Yeah.
a goose.
Well, then there's starving children in China. Like ship my
Yeah.
extra to them. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Clean your plate.
it's funny.
Yeah.
One of my sisters has brought to my attention. I think all of us everyone struggled with eating, but we were very much raised in one of those households where it's like you clean your plate. Um, and she dealt with such a like emotional struggle when she finally made the decision where she was like, I'm going to eat until I'm full, and then whatever's left, I don't care. Like it's not a big deal. Um, it's a really hard habit for some people to break. It was so ingrained in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bet
Yeah.
you lots of people listening are like, oh yeah, like starving children in Africa or wherever it is. Like
Mm-hmm.
we
Yeah.
all heard it.
Hmm.
Like guilt is used to like overstuff yourself. Like why am I going to do that? My body said I'm full.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Well, and when
Exactly.
you came into Emma's life, like there was that, you eat what I give you, and he kind of tried to play that card. And I'd look at him and I'd go, she needs to dish up what she wants to eat. And if she takes it, then she needs to eat what she took, unless there's, some obvious, like, it's bad or whatever. But, that was the rule. But if you dish her up, that's not fair to expect that she would eat that.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks. And you would never, an adult would never put up with that. So why are you doing that to a kid?
Yeah. Well, and I was so accustomed to as well. Like if I made food, I would dish people up,
Mhm.
and I would dish up my portion.
Yeah.
At the time I'm 250, 260, and she's 60 pounds. And
Mhm.
Sarah is 150. It's like you guys probably should not be eating the same number of calories as
Yeah.
me.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What else do we want to talk on today? I just kind of, today I wanted to take just an initial swing at it, use your glowing success story in hopes of like motivating others. And moving forward, I'd love to like, if folks have ideas of things they want to talk about, concepts of, delving specifically into diet or workout protocols or, the emotional state around it, whatever it might be,
Mhm.
I want to talk a lot more about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know from you, Sarah, in addition to just being more fit,
Mhm.
lean, strong, what other areas have been stand out to you? Maybe like mentally, emotionally. What other areas of your life do you feel have benefited from the changes? Anything at all, like sleep, any of that stuff?
I've always been a pretty good sleeper, so that really hasn't come into play a whole lot. Um, man, I feel so much better. Just physically, I feel, like my joints don't hurt as much anymore. Like I can go out and run and not feel like a creaky old, tractor at the end of it. Just like come into the house and everything pops and everything. So I feel lighter. Um,
60 or 70
I
pounds lighter.
feel, yeah,
Mhm.
right? Which is hard to think when you're like, okay, grab this 45-pound plate. You've been huffing that around for,
Now go run 3 miles with it on your
right.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Carry it all day.
Yeah.
but honestly, I think, like the fitness, my cardiovascular fitness is
Night and day
ridiculous. Like we
difference.
went and, like I said, or like you were saying, did the Zumba class this morning, literally pouring sweat and like having a great time and smiling and not winded and just having fun. I love like more than anything, I love feeling strong and capable. I love knowing that there is, we can go do a Tough Mudder next weekend. And I'm not worried that there's anything that my body will tell me I can't do. And that is a goal for me, that I don't ever want my mind or my body to stop me from doing something that I want to do. Um, but more than anything, it is summiting this mountain and knowing that I have literally everything in my toolbox to do this for the rest of my life and keep it 5 by 5, and I can drink some drinks and I can eat some food and I can have dessert and I can, skip a couple of days of the gym. But I really enjoy the working out. I enjoy us being able to spend time together. I
It's
love
fun.
that we started working out together because it's just one of my favorite things. It's a great way to start the morning. We get to spend time together. We get to, work toward a common goal. Um, but I know that I can accomplish it. And this was kind of like the last piece of the checklist of like, great job, great house, great relationship, great family, but my body is not where I want it to be. And so now every time I look at myself, I feel like I'm in alignment with where I want to be. And there's something so powerful about that. And you won't be able to wrestle this out of my cold dead hand until I'm done.
You sound empowered.
hmm So,
It was nice too going out this summer. We've always talked about we've always been lake people, and it's like next summer we're gonna be that fit couple, and we've said that year after year after year, and then this year it was like,
yep.
yes, we were actually out with friends recently, and my buddy Bill like looked over, he's like, "You realize you're our hot friends now, right?" It's like
Yeah.
my vanity and ego is stroked. Thank you, good sir. That was beautiful.
Yep.
That brings up another good point just on the top of exercise. When you started the program, Sarah, I remember asking you, what are some of the things you want to be able to do? Are
hmm
there any, events, activities? And you brought up wake surfing
hmm
and the moves that you want to be able to do.
hmm
And whether it's wake surfing, cycling, hiking, MMA,
Rock climbing.
whatever it is,
hmm
it doesn't have to be a gym workout. It doesn't have to be a 5K daily. People just really need to find something that they enjoy.
Yeah.
That's exercise,
hmm
and our bodies aren't made to be sedentary
All the
just
time.
all the time.
Nope.
It's a high road to poor health. Um, for people who I've seen have long-term success, they find that, at least in terms of the exercise, is
hmm
something they truly enjoy. And maybe that is at the gym. Maybe it's at the gym with their spouse
hmm
or a trainer, or it's an altogether different activity. I've had people who've gotten into hockey,
Yep.
uh,
Curling.
yeah, curling, cycling, mountain biking,
hmm
cross country skiing, whatever it is.
Full
Something that's
contact knitting.
yeah, I mean, just like it could be a whole host of things, right? But just move, just
Yeah.
move, and you can start there.
hmm
Well, it's fascinating too. Pro Club is right next door to Microsoft and has a high percentage of tech clientele, Microsoft included. Um, and it's really not flattering when you sit and think about it. Like, yeah, I'm pretty fit and I work out a lot, like this and that. When I really break it down, I'm in bed somewhere between 6 and 10 hours a day. I'm sitting at a desk, uh, bare minimum 6 to 8 hours a day.
Yep.
Even when I'm busting my ass on an average day, if I get an hour of physical activity, when you break it down, it's like, so you're getting 1/23rd or 1/24th of your day
Yeah.
is physical. The rest of it, you're sitting or laying on your back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It starts to make sense.
Do you remember when we were in the tiny temp house and I would jack my desk up and shove my bike underneath it while I
Yep.
was in meetings?
Yep.
And I would spin while I was on meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those little things, though,
Mm-hmm.
the atomic habits, that's what I would love for people to see. It's like, look, if you're 400 pounds today and you think or want to be at 200 pounds, it's not like you have to turn your entire life on your head overnight. Like, guess what? I'm going to cut alcohol out starting now for a little. I'm going to commit to 3 months of no alcohol. Cool. Just do that for a while. I'm gonna go for a 2-mile walk 3 times a week. Each week, just add some like either add or subtract something that helps get closer to your alignment of your goals. And those things start to add, it's like
Yeah.
compound interest on your 401k.
Yeah.
Over time, that starts to build speed. And all of a sudden, those things cumulatively firing together. Like you look down one day and you're like, holy crap, I'm not embarrassed to look at myself in the mirror when I get out of the shower.
God, I can barely keep him in a shirt these days. I swear to God. Dude, I didn't tell you. It was the funniest thing. So we ordered DoorDash the other day. And I get the receipt from the DoorDash person with the picture of them dropping the food off. And here Chris is. They've got a picture of the food and him grabbing it with his shirt off. And I was like, honey, look, even the DoorDash guy has a picture of you with your shirt off.
I mean, I feel like this is a big improvement because usually it was people seeing my butt in the past. So
All right.
now it's just my midsection. So
That's fair. And one of the things to go back to what you were saying, one of the questions that I have been asking you for a while about a lot of different things is that in alignment with your goals?
that's another question I often don't appreciate.
Yeah. And it isn't even important to say yes. What's important is you're thinking about it. If you're thinking about whether what you're doing is in alignment with your goals, you're starting to resonate in that direction.
That's such a neat little diet trick too. I think it was Jeremy who brought that up with us. Every time you go and open up the fridge for, like you're going to have a free feed snack, just go wild, do whatever you want to do. He's like, I just want you to say out loud to yourself, choosing to set my goals aside right now. I'm actively making the choice to do this because the guilt doesn't do you any good. It's like, if you're going to do it, just go for it and get back on track.
Yeah,
Don't beat yourself
move
up
forward.
about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I'm falling down again, I'm terrible. It's like, no, like life is not perfect. You get curveballs all the time. Like, hey, you have a goal, do your best each day to push towards a better alignment with that, spiritually, physically, and magic will happen over time.
Yeah, and even if you have a flub, you ate fish and chips. Don't even waste the day on it.
Stopped
Just
by Jack in the Box, had 6 whiskey cokes and a couple of cheeseburgers.
Right. Next
Happens.
time you eat, just pay attention.
Yeah.
You don't even have to crap on yourself about it.
Yeah.
Just all right.
Yeah, the stressing will do you no
Yeah.
good.
No good.
We could do another whole podcast on how
Yeah.
stress is not your friend. for
And
weight
I
loss.
mean, it's that moment is gone.
Yeah. Live your life. Enjoy it. It
Yeah.
ends too darn quickly.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, Dean, thank you for being with us.
Pleasure.
Like I said,
Yeah, thank
I
you.
suspect we will hear from you again, and perhaps we can get some of the other Pro Club folks to come in and talk to us about how the 2020 program is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we know enough people who've been through it. And thank you, Jason, to our excellent.
The alpha audio engineer in the
Yes.
house, as usual. Keep giving us feedback on sound. He keeps taking it and tuning it, and it's getting better and better. If you hadn't seen on social media, we're starting to get more of a social media presence. We're on Spotify now. We're on Apple, Google. I think just about every podcast forum out there.
Woohoo!
We're talking about adding video. We're building a new studio. There's all kinds of crazy stuff happening. We've got some new folks joining the team to do artistic work and website work. Jessica Hansen, you're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, This is amazing.
It's becoming a thing.
Yeah, it's super exciting to be here with all of you. Be well, kick ass, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.